Yo guys, how y'all doing? So today we're gonna be talking about Jane, her kit, her discs, her team, and how to master her. So firstly, I gotta say, most of y'all are thinking, Pepe, we just got to play her for a little today on the 1.1 patch. How can you already have a guide for her? Well, young Padawan, it's actually pretty simple. I have a private server with the 1.1 beta uploaded on it, so I have been playing with her for at least 14 days, if not a little longer, so I kinda know what I'm talking about, right? So now that we got that out of the way, let's start with it, shall we? So, we will start first with showing a bit of her input, skills, combos, energy system, and everything else. Unfortunately, I can't really use the private server footage from the 1.1 beta, because if I do, Hoyo is going to take my video down, because I kinda would be cucking their favorite creators from the creators early access server, right? So I'll just have to use the limited material that I have from playing Jane on the story on stream yesterday. By the way, I stream both on YouTube and Twitch daily, so y'all are more than welcome to join if y'all wanna chat. So, her basic attack is actually pretty simple, there isn't much to it, there's no hidden tech or anything, you can just mash that shit and have fun with it, okay? Her dodge though, have a couple different interactions. If you attack after her first dodge, she kinda does an upward slash, so it's kind of a single target attack. Now, if you're attacking after her second dodge, she does kind of multiple horizontal slashes, so it's kind of an AoE, kind of a cleave. And that's pretty much it for her dodge as well, not really complicated. Her EX special is also pretty good. You can use it on two ways. You can either use it to fill up her passion stream, energy gauge, which is her special system, and it fills around 50% of it, maybe 40% of it, which is actually pretty good. Or you can just take advantage whenever you're already on her passion string mode, on her passion state, and just use that EX special on that mode to deal tons of damage. It's actually really nice as well, so you can just choose whichever you prefer. Whenever she is with her energy system activated, that means that little bar under her HP becomes red, she can also use her dash to go through enemies, so she kind of phases through them, allowing her to create different opportunities for grouping, repositioning, especially whenever you're fighting bosses, so bigger enemies, which is actually pretty nice. Her hold basic attack though is kind of cool, especially if you like the spin to win, like Piper, right? So whenever she fills her gauge up, so her passion stream gauge, she also gains that little ball that you guys are seeing. That little ball signifies that you have one stack. That means that you can do one hold basic attack, and whenever you hold it, she's just gonna keep doing some little spins like Piper and then do some finishing attack to finish that combo string, right? That deals tons of damage and also generates a lot of anomaly. I would highly recommend you guys using that while on the passion string mode to deal even more damage and anomaly, and that also helps out build up her EX, so it is pretty nice, not gonna lie. But you could, just like her EX, also save it up to whenever the gauge is not active, to help fill it even faster. This move, the little spinny boy, kind of fills around 30% of her passion gauge, so I wouldn't say it is as worth it to save it to fill the gauge just like the EX is. I would just probably use it whenever she is on her passion state. The important thing with Jane and her passion system is the following, and it's actually pretty simple. Whenever she is on her passion state, she gains an additional physical anomaly build-up rate, 25% to be precise, which means it allows her to proc assault and therefore disorder even faster. And not only that, but by every anomaly proficiency point above 120 while she is on the passion state, she also gains more attack. She gains 2 attack points every anomaly proficiency point above 120 to a max of 600 attack, which means she gets maxed attack bonus whenever she has 420 anomaly proficiency. So that's the target if you're playing Jane. You want to have her with 420 anomaly proficiency. There's also a second mechanic on her that that wants her to have 375 anomaly proficiency. We're going to talk about that one on the next topic, okay? So not only she does more damage whenever she's on her passion state, but she also deals more anomaly. She also builds up anomaly faster, so she's just a machine whenever she's on that passion state mode. Now we're going to really talk about her truly unique features, the real cherry on the cake, and the reason why Jane is the anomaly and the disorder queen, the hyper carry of Disorder. So let's get into it, right? So she is literally the only character in the game, yes, the only character in the game that can actually make an anomaly activation. So shock, corruption, burn, assault, whatever it is, she is the only character that can make that anomaly crit. Yes, you heard it right. She can make the anomaly crit. Basically, her core passive applies a debuff to any character that she attacks, called the Gnawed state, and that lasts for 10 seconds. That is 10 seconds whenever you're not using her, because if you're using her, you're constantly attacking the enemy, so that timer on the stack, the timer on the debuff, doesn't really go away, right? And if any character on that team triggers an assault, it will also increases the duration of flinch by 5 seconds. And if y'all don't know, flinch is kind of a sub buff that happens whenever you trigger assault that also increases the days that the enemy takes for a short period of time. So she also increases that flinch duration for more 5 seconds. So it allows the target to take even more days. And that's even better because now on 1.1 they finally fixed Disorder, so that now whenever you proc Disorder, you also deal a ton of days damage, so you increase the stun bar of the enemy by a lot. So having that flinch is going to make Disorder give even more days damage, so fill that bar even more, so it will kill the necessity of a stun character. Because of course a Disorder team, which is going to have 2 anomaly characters, at least the usual will be 2 anomaly characters, won't really have a slot for a stunner, because it will either have a defender like Zeph or a support like Rina, for example. But not only that, besides the gnawed and the flinch, her assault damage also has a base chance of critting, just like I said before. So there's actually a base crit rate of 40% and a base crit damage bonus of 50%. But the thing is, Jane gains 0.16% more crit rate for the assault proc for every anomaly point that she has. So if she has 375 anomaly proficiency, she automatically has 100% crit rate on assault. So again, every time she procs assault, that assault is going to have a 50% damage. And that's huge, because that's basically going to put assault in front of burning, being the third most powerful anomaly, just behind shock and ether, right? By the way, if you have her second dupe, so her C2 or M2, she gains another 50% crit damage bonus to her assault, making her assault the strongest anomaly proc in the game, so even stronger than shock or ether. She also can trigger her additional ability just by having another anomaly character on the team, or someone from her faction. That also works. Her additional ability basically increases her anomaly build-up rate by 20%, and when the enemy is already suffering from any anomaly, it also increases that anomaly buildup by an extra 15%, so we're talking 35% faster anomaly procs, which is huge, especially if you're doing a disordered comp, because then you can just proc it again and again and again and again, and that shit goes crazy. And that basically is why Jane is the anomaly and disorder hyper carry, and why she's going to be super useful and valuable for every double anomaly disorder team, right? That's why I, as a low spender, and I recommend y'all as free-to-plays or low spenders as well, to really pull for Jane, because her future value is going to be amazing, especially if you enjoy other anomaly characters that are coming, or you like the concept of a disorder, right? So now that we talked and showed y'all how she works, we're now going to talk about her discs, right? There are mainly two options, with a third one that I came up here on the spot, but I haven't really tried it out. So the first one is kind of a hypercarry Jane, which is using 4 fanged metals, which are the physical discs, with 2 freedom blues, which are the anomaly discs. This is more of a, again, hypercarry build, because sure, it will make her assault buildup a little slower, but it will also increase the overall damage that Jane can do. So again, it is more of a hypercarry build, right? Now, if you're a Disorder freak and you just want to proc Disorder like crazy, you could just use 4 Freedom Blues, which are the Anomaly discs, and 2 Fanged Metals, which are the physical discs. The third one that I just came up on the spot here, and I haven't even tried to see if it works or not, is the possibility of using 2 on her. So going 2 Fanged Metal, which are the physical ones, 2 Freedom Blues, which are the anomaly ones, and 2 Buffer Electro, which are the penetration discs. That maybe be worth it, that maybe be cool, but I haven't really tried it at the time of recording this video, so I won't be able to tell y'all if that one is even really viable or worth it at the end of the day. But here's the idea if anyone wants to test it. So, you already noticed that Jane is actually pretty straightforward to play. So there isn't much to talk about complexity, hidden techs, combos, or anything like this. So let's just talk about team building and rotation, right? So right now on 1.1, you basically only have one option if you want to do a Disorder comp with Jane, right? Where Jane will shine the most, which is being paired with Grace and either Rena or Seth, right? Depending on who you have and who you want to play with. In this case, the rotation is just going to be the following. You can start with either Grace or Jaina. While you're using Grace, you're just proccing Electro as fast as possible by abusing her EX and non-EX, again, to just trigger shock as fast as possible. Whenever you're done with that, you're just going to Jane, trigger the assault as fast as possible, so you avoid losing shock procs to maximize the Disorder damage, right? So, if Jane, whenever you rotate into her, is already on the passion state, that will allow you to also build up the assault faster and make that assault and the Disorder deal even more damage. So it is interesting to always keep in mind how much energy Jane has on her special system, right? On the passion stream, passion state mode. And basically, you're just going to be repeating this cycle infinitely, right? So just proc Disorder as frequently as possible. Now, if you were to add the third character into the rotation, the support or the defender, whatever, in the case of Rena, you gotta take in mind the time of her puppets, which, if I'm not wrong, is around 5 seconds at C0. So you can just send the puppets by doing a full combo string with Rena, or using her EX, or using her ultimate, or even a chain attack, if I'm not wrong. So you're gonna have to keep an eye on the puppets there to see whenever they disappear, to trigger it again. So to go back into Rena and do a full combo chain, or EX, or anything else to just make the puppets come up again. So anytime that the puppets aren't on field, giving you that pen buff, you just simply rotate into Rena, trigger the puppets again, and then just go back into that Jane and Grace rotation. 5 seconds are up, the puppets are gone, go into Rena, proc it again, and then go Jane and Grace, Jane and Grace. That's pretty much it. You could just also use Rena whenever you're near proc and Disorder, so you can just jack that Disorder damage up. Also works. So whenever Grace is near proccing Shock, you just go into her, or whenever Jane is almost proccing Assault, you just go into Rena real quick, use her puppets, deal the proc with Jane or Grace, then switch into the other one and try to proc as fast as possible inside that 5-second window to deal the huge Disorder damage. Now, if you're talking Seth, the rotation is actually a little bit simpler. You basically just do the same Jane and Grace rotation, but instead of the 5 seconds puppet timer, his shield, which is given by either his parry or a chain attack, actually lasts for 25 seconds, or until it gets destroyed, of course. So there's actually something that you have to pay attention here. Rena puppets give a team-wide buff, right? While Seth's only gives the shield for the character that comes after him whenever he does the quick assist. And Seth also has a different quick assist order than the usual, right? Whenever the support going to do the quick assist action, the support calls the person that comes after her, right? So if the support is on the first slot, it calls the person on the second slot. If the support is on the third slot, it calls the person on the first slot, right? But Seth actually does it the opposite way. So if Seth is on the first slot, he calls the person on the third slot. And if Seth is on the second slot, he actually calls the person on the first slot. So it's the inverse than, for example, Lucy, Nicole, or Rena does. So you gotta keep that in mind whenever you're setting up the order of your team before starting the match. So in case of Seth, you gotta keep up your eyes not on the puppets, of course, because there's no puppets. You gotta keep an eye on your HP bar to notice whenever the shield goes away, right? And also, whenever Seth does the assist, he also lowers the enemy total anomaly buildup rest for 20% for 10 seconds. And that's all anomaly buildup rest for all elements, right? So again, he's pretty good for Disorder, especially if you don't have Rena for the team-wide pen buff, right? Because again, Seth buffs only works in one character, right? So he kinda is a Joker card for Anomaly team building, right? Especially he's kind of a free-to-play friendly, because he's going to have his odds jacked up on Jane banner. So if you're pulling for Jane, you are probably getting at least one Seth, right? Not only that, but he also gives the elemental buff to Grace, just like Rena does. So he actually fits in pretty nicely, especially whenever you're using Jane, Grace, and Seth, right? Now, if we're talking 1.2 team building, there's actually another option, right? You can use Jane, Bernice, and Lucy too. In this case, the rotation again is just as usual. You either start with Jane or Bernice, and then you just trigger their own anomaly as fast as possible. Then you just switch into the other anomaly character to trigger the Disorder and keep that rotation going over and over. Then you just basically slot Lucy into that rotation, doing the following. Lucy gives a buff, which is an attack percentage buff, right? That buff lasts 10 seconds if you're using her EX special. But actually, if you hold the button of her EX, and instead of hitting the board directly into the enemy, she hits the board into the air and then it falls into the enemy, her buff doesn't last 10 seconds, it actually lasts 15. So it also makes it a lot easier, right? And it's also a team-wide buff instead of Seth's, which is an individual buff. So you also gotta take that in consideration, right? And in Lucy's case, there's a timer underneath the character's HP, so it's actually pretty easy to keep an eye on it, right? So not like Rena's, which you have to pay attention on where the hell the puppets are in the field. So it makes it a lot easier to keep attention in it and being able to do the rotation more efficiently, right? Because sometimes in the middle of the action, you can just miss the puppets and don't even notice that they're there or not. So Jane's signature W engine, it's also pretty good, not gonna lie. Basically, every dash attack generates one stack that increases the physical damage, the physical attack that the user has by 12% for 10 seconds. And you can stack that up to 3 times, giving a total of a 36% physical attack buff, right? So it is pretty good physical damage buff, and her stack resets every time you trigger another one. So it isn't like most stacks inside ZZZ, which each stack has a different timer being calculated on it. Whenever you get another stack, it just resets those 10 seconds. So you can kind of min-max it, use like 8 seconds of it, trigger it again, and then you get plus 10 seconds with 2 stacks. And then whenever it's almost ending, you can trigger it again for more 10 seconds, right? But that's way too much min-maxing for whenever we're playing. We all know that. That's just paper building, right? Whenever the character that's using that weapon also has 3 stacks, so max stacks, it also increases the anomaly build-up rate of the person using the weapon by 40%, which is actually pretty good. This weapon also has a main stat of anomaly proficiency, so it also fits up pretty good with anomaly characters, especially Grace, because she wants a lot of anomaly proficiency to be able to get their extra attack damage and extra crit rate on assault. For last but not least, we're gonna talk about her dupes, so her Mindscape, Cinemas, or whatever. I'm gonna go pretty fast on it because there's not much into it, and I know that most people don't really go for character dupes, so we're just gonna go quick into it, okay? So her first dupe, which is her C1, M1, whatever, basically gives her another ball, another little ball on her bar. So the representations of her spin attack, right? The energy that she consumes to do her spin attack. And while she's also on the patient state mode, also increases her anomaly buildup rate by an extra 15%. And each point that she has an anomaly proficiency also increases her damage by 0.1% to a max of 30%. So you're talking plus 30% damage and plus 15% anomaly buildup rate, which is actually pretty good. The extra spin is also pretty nice, not gonna lie. I played a lot with two spin stacks, and it actually helps out a lot, because then you can use one spin whenever she has the passion stream activated, and whenever she doesn't, you can use that spin again, the second stack, to help regenerate that energy, right? So it actually makes her gameplay a little bit smoother, but it isn't the same as, for example, Jane's or Zuyuan, which both of them really make the characters smoother, right? This one doesn't really make that much difference. Her M2 or C2, just like most characters, is by far the best dupe. Why? It's pretty simple. While the enemy is on a gnaw state, so basically whenever Jane is attacking an enemy, or in that 10-second windows after Jane did her last attack and another character is on field, it gives a 15% defense ignore, which is amazing because this defense ignore also counts for Anomaly and Disorder, right? And not only that, but the special thing, the special sauce, is that this second dupe also increases the damage, the crit damage on her assault by 15%. So plus 50% crit on her assault, besides the already 50% bonus that she already gets because of her core skill, right? So basically, it gives a total 100% increase on the assault damage, right? The 50 that she already gets from the core skill, plus the 50 from the C2, the M2, literally making assault the strongest anomaly proc in the whole game. Stronger than shock and ether, and that's crazy, dude, crazy. Because if you played her with C2 plus Grace, bro, your disorder damage is just going to jack up all the way into the heavens. It's going to be so fucking strong. You guys have no idea. I really wish I could pull for her C2, but it is what it is. We are as low spenders come. I just do the dailies and a battle pass, right? Her third dupe is pretty simple. Just gives +2 to all her skills, the boring and usual stuff. So her fourth dupe, so her C4 or M4, makes so if any character in the team procs an anomaly, makes all the team anomaly damage increase by 18%, and that effect lasts by 15 seconds. So if you were a disorder freak like me, this C4, this M4, whatever, it's also pretty good, not gonna lie, because that's not only an 18% increase in anomaly damage, but also on the disorder, right? So her 50th dupe, just like the third one, is the boring shit, just +2 to all her skills, the normal, the usual. Her last dupe, her M6 or C6, whatever, gives her an increased 20% crit rate whenever she is on the passion state mode, so whenever her bar is blinking red, right? And also gives up 40% more crit damage, right? Also, whenever Jane or any other team member triggers assault, it instantly gives Jane 100% passion stream, so she instantly goes back into her passion state, which is super good, not gonna lie. That makes the uptime of the character even higher, right? It is always constantly on that maxed cap fucking tons of damage mode, which is great to play, not gonna lie. Well, it is a fucking 60th dupe, so it has to make the character amazing, right? Also, there's a cherry on top. So if you have that M6 or C6, and if you have her M6 or C6, I'm sure that you also already have enough anomaly proficiency on her to have 100 crit rate on her assault, and that is important what I'm saying. So if you have her M6 or C6 and Jane crits on her assault, after that assault with crit, she deals an additional attack that deals physical damage equal to 1600% of her anomaly proficiency. So she just does an extra huge hit to the enemy, which is super good, not gonna lie. So yeah, boys, that pretty much wraps up our Jane guide. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and understood why she is the Anomaly and Disorder team, why she's such a good investment, especially if you like Anomaly and Disorder, and why she literally is the Anomaly and Disorder hyper carry, right? So if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave it a like, subscribe to my channel, follow me on my Twitch, and if you guys want to chill, debate Woo, ZZZ, HSR, drama, react, or anything really, you guys can also join my Discord, which is in the description of this video. That was pretty much it for me today, boys. Hope to see y'all in the next time. Peace.